So before we get to Kamala Harris and her pick as Joe Biden's VP, I just want to get your thoughts on this announcement this morning, this supposed peace deal that's been arranged overseas overnight, that's been done by President Trump, that involves the UAE.
It's huge news. It's happy news for the world. It looks like it's a realigning of the Middle East. The Palestinian-Israeli conflict has defined the region for generations. It now looks as if the area is sorting itself out in a completely different way, where it is Iran versus everybody else. And make no mistake, it's the Iranian threat which created the impetus for this peace deal between the UAE and Israel, because they all have common cause now. What to look for next? Saudi Arabia? Is there the other Gulf states? Kuwait? Is there some sort of economic package in the offing to put to rest the Palestinian issue with Israel's blessings? It's interesting that Israel also halted certain developments and declarations of sovereignty in certain areas. So there's a lot of moving parts, but this represents the beginning of a tectonic shift in the Middle East, and it's good news for President Trump and good news for the world.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, when there's claims of peace in the Middle East, I mean, I think that's probably taking it to a bit far, don't you think? I mean, there never really ever has been peace in the Middle East.
No, but here you have two countries that were formerly technically at war, exchange ambassadors are now meeting to arrange trade and direct flights. So yeah, that's one bit of war in the Middle East that has been put to an end. And the UAE is politically important too, because as goes the UAE, so likely will go Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. So look for that to happen. This could be the beginning of a big sea change, but yeah, a little bit of war in the Middle East actually went away today.
Okay, let's get on to some news, extra news this week that came out of the presidential campaign that Joe Biden, the Democrats' pick, the hopeful presidential pick anyway, he's chosen Kamala Harris to be his running mate. What's your thoughts on that appointment?
I don't think it's going to affect the race one way or the other. Kamala Harris was merely about box checking. She's a woman of color. She's a U.S. senator. Her record as Attorney General in California, where I am now, was one of very law and order. She was against sentencing reductions for a lot of black people, and insisted on harsher sentences for a lot of drug crimes, especially marijuana. She was against the legalization of marijuana before she was for it. So she isn't going to be seen as that authentic, new face, fresh face that's a leader for a lot of the Democratic base. So for them, she's rather uninspiring, but she's not going to do former Vice President Biden any real harm either.
But that's the point of a VP pick, isn't it? I mean, they don't really ever help a campaign. It's just so that they don't hurt a campaign.
That's exactly right. Not the last time that a vice presidential pick in the United States really moved the needle in the presidential race was 1960, when then President Senator Kennedy selected Senator Lyndon B. Johnson of Texas as his vice presidential running mate. And the whole point of that was to bring Texas into the Democrat column. Eons ago, but that was the last time it really mattered.
Yeah, but I guess they can hurt a campaign. I mean, Sarah Palin, I mean, I don't think John McCain was ever really going to win in 2008 against Barack Obama, but Sarah Palin didn't help his campaign.
No, Sarah Palin was a high risk, high reward. They knew they were in real trouble with that, and they probably weren't going to beat Barack Obama. You had Dan Quayle, who was the vice president actually under Bush 41, senator from Indiana. He was largely mocked because he was of his youth, and there was a misspelling of potato on a chalkboard that became American political lore. But other than that, it hasn't really mattered.
So do you think this changes the game at all now that the ticket has been finalised, Biden, Harris? You know, so many polls have Biden so far ahead, but I mean, these things, they do always tend to tighten the closer you do get to the election. Now that we're somewhat 90 days away, not far away, do you expect that to tighten further?
Okay, a couple things to know about polls here. First of all, throughout the polls are actually tightening in this race now. It's not a question, are they going to? It is actually happening. Two, most all of these surveys, and pretty much everybody agrees that they undersample Republicans rather badly.
Yeah.
Whether it's by design or because Republicans don't want to answer questions or shy is unclear. It's probably a mixture of that. But the polls are tightening now, not just nationally, but in those key states as well.